Thank you. Thank you very much.
Handwriting analysis is a study that delves deep into the psyche. It's an incredibly powerful tool that's used for self-knowledge, self-enlightenment, compatibility analysis, and employment screening. The Wall Street Journal stated that over 80% of the corporations in Europe have used handwriting analysis in their employment screening process. Who here has ever had their handwriting analyzed before? Great. Well, every time I give a presentation with groups, I like to take one brave individual as a volunteer. I usually get a couple of different responses to this. One is, no, I'm afraid you're going to tell me I'm a psycho killer. I say, don't worry, I've only seen a handful of those, of all the thousands I've done. The other one is, do me, do me, do me. And usually what I find out is once we have that very brave individual, that everybody wants it done. The signature analysis carries 5 times the weight of the rest of the body of the handwriting. It's very important. What we look for as a professional graphologist is we weigh the points, the wedges, the upper loops, the lower loops, the slant of the handwriting, the pressure, how big the writing is, how small the writing is, where it's placed on the page, where the margins are, and then we stack the traits. You've heard the tale, your little T's tell tall tales? It's very telling. Let me tell you, the letter T all by itself has over 30 different personality traits depending on how it's written. We take all those traits and then we stack them upon one another. What's your name?
Sandy.
Sandy, thank you very much. You're very brave. If you would do me a favor and just write in your normal handwriting your signature. I love it. You know, when you think about it, no two people write alike, ever. And yet, weren't we all taught to write exactly the same in 2nd grade? I mean, precisely. And we got in trouble if we didn't. Do you know anybody who writes like somebody else? Everybody's handwriting. We're like snowflakes. There's no two alike. And the reason for that is because it's actually brain writing, not handwriting. Alrighty. And all of you also, you're all natural graphologists. We're all born with this natural ability. I just got a little bit of extra training in it. You can tell she has a real flourish to her handwriting. Can you see that? What I love about this, I do love the flourish, and I love the flow with all this, but this is great. Can you all see the figure 8 in there? Can you see that? Anytime you have a figure 8 in handwriting, it means dedication and devotion to something. The fact that it shows up in her signature means she's dedicated to something personal. The fact that it shows up in her first name means it's to something that's important to her, some kind of passion. A lot of people ask me, what is it that you can tell about handwriting? And it's easier for me to say, it's easier to tell you what it doesn't tell. Handwriting analysis does not predict the future. So sorry. It also does not tell the sex of the handwriting writer, male or female. It does not tell the age. Aren't you glad? And it also does not tell if the writer is left-handed or right-handed, which surprises a lot of people. So we measure. That's the one thing on the slant is we measure it. And I've done this so long I can eyeball it. She's a very heart-centered person. Have you ever cried at a sad movie in your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Also means she's very compassionate, feels the highs and lows of other people. A lot of people with a far right-hand slant need to be careful of boundaries because they can feel so many other people's emotions. Sometimes it gets confusing what's theirs and what's not. I love the flamboyancy. She starts to underline her handwriting right here. And whenever you underline your handwriting, it means there's a strong sense of self and a strong, healthy self-esteem. There's something called graphical therapy, which you can actually change your writing to change your life. You've all heard change your thinking to change your life. This is change your writing, because remember, it all stems from brain impulses. So when you change on the paper, it can change characteristics. From not who you are as a core person, but if you have procrastination that shows up in your signature, you can change that. She's also got her middle initial. She's got the full first name, the middle initial, and the last name. I'm noticing her I dot. It's dotted right above the I. That shows pretty good attention to detail and loyalty, too. You can't quite draw a ruler underneath here, but it's very stable personality. That's just a real quick overview. Thank you so much. I will leave you with one thought, and that is what we write comes from our conscious mind. How we write comes from our unconscious mind. Live your life by design instead of by default. Thank you.
Whenever you write down even the simplest note, you're actually revealing some of the most private things about yourself. Kathi McKnight's an internationally recognized handwriting expert who unlocks the secrets of pen strokes and what they say about you.
What we write comes from the conscious mind. How we write comes from the subconscious mind. So whenever we touch our pen to the paper, it's reflecting brain patterns.
For example, how you make your O's can reveal your honesty.
The letter T all by itself has over 30 different character traits depending on how it's written.
We had her analyze 3 autographs of actress Jennifer Aniston before.
That means that this person is a homebody. They like to stay close to home.
During.
But this is starting to get gnarled in here. This is starting to get scrunched together. There's a little bit of upset, a little bit of trauma starting to happen.
And after her breakup with Brad Pitt.
See how her handwriting has changed considerably. And that just shows that inside there's a lot of internal, kind of tangled up emotions and processing going on.
Meet Nancy and Gina, 2 well-liked segment producers on our morning news, who agreed to have their writing analyzed. But without any background, Kathi nailed differences in their personalities, right down to Gina's emotion-driven, right-slanted handwriting.
You have a great capacity to give to other people and to show emotion in the moment.
I think this is exactly how I am. I'm a very emotional person.
To Nancy's up and down slanted writing, devoted and...
Sometimes you might feel like the extrovert and very heart-centered, and other times you might want to be like a hermit and kind of be to yourself.
Yeah, that's me.
We have about 90,000 thoughts that we think about every single day. And guess what? 90% of what we thought about, what we're thinking about today, we thought about yesterday. Oh, I wonder what if, and oh, about that, and oh my goodness, and we're gnawing away on this bone, and if thoughts are things, and we keep thinking over and over and over again about the very thing we're worried about, guess what we're creating? So it goes like this. If you want to know why your life is the way it is today, look at what your thoughts were yesterday. If you want to know what your life is going to be like tomorrow, check out your thoughts today. Doing graphical therapy is a way to physically, tangibly tap in to the mind-body-spirit connection. So when you start changing your handwriting, you are literally messing with the neurotransmitters in the brain, okay? Because handwriting's brain writing. So when you start changing the patterns, the physical, neurological, chemical transmitters in your brain, you start changing your attitude in life. You start changing how you respond to circumstances. And then you start changing what you attract to you. It can tell all about a person's sex interests and sex drives.
Oh, we're not talking male or female.
Okay.
Oh, different kind of sex. Okay.
Some things are better left alone.
All of the presidential candidates' handwritings are all so different. It's amazing.
And so are their signatures, which, by the way, is considered the most revealing. We start with the handwriting sample from Democratic candidate Barack Obama.
Thank you.
Do you notice, though, his signature is so very different from the rest of his handwriting?
Mm-hmm.
When somebody's signature is different from the rest of their handwriting, that means who they are in their personal life is different than who they are in the rest of the world. Obama is a tremendously eloquent speaker, and that shows up in handwriting. See this G? Almost looks like a figure 8.
Mm-hmm.
He has that frequently.
Hillary Clinton.
Next, his Democratic rival, Senator Hillary Clinton.
I was surprised to see some of the things in Hillary's handwriting. There's a little fear of being scrutinized. She's uncomfortable with a lot of eyes being on her. This long lower loop, which has no loop, it goes straight down. That means this person can be a loner. They need time alone. And in this case, it tells me that she would be willing to go the distance alone if she needs to. The length of the lower loop shows tremendous drive and ambition. The slant tells if we are a logical thinker or if we're going to be more emotional.
And what does hers say?
She's very pragmatic and very logical and very head-oriented.
Oh! And finally, presumptive Republican nominee John McCain.
One thing I found very interesting about him that was different from the others is that his signature is changing each time. The very first sample that I got of his was written at an upslant. Donald Trump writes his with a big upslant. And that's people who, they're not only optimistic, but they seek out a challenge. That often shows trauma when they are, two letters are combined into one. Okay, now he was a prisoner of war, POW. And I believe that some of that trauma is still stored inside of him.
Skeptical? Well, Kathi has something to say about that, too.
It's sort of proven itself. It's not, I don't have to prove it. I just learn it, and I'm just the messenger, and I tell what it tells. And I love skeptics. In fact, you can tell a skeptic in their handwriting. Really?